how you ended up here, like what specifically made you want to work on this?
Hmm. So, can I start?
Yes.
So, good evening to all. I think most of the people, once in your life, you ever travel in train, right? Many of them like used to travel in train for your maybe your basic uh, like survival for anything, maybe for a travel, maybe for part of job, and maybe you are regular travelers in train. And many people maybe notice like a small child came and ask you like 1 rupees, 2 rupees, and maybe they just sleep in the train, sleep in the platform, or sleep in this inside the train, and they ask you for 1 rupees. No? And many of them are maybe interested to give also. Like you maybe think that okay, it's just a 1 rupee thing. Okay, just give them and just let the because it's like a you know like forcing you know to ask them for money. No? So maybe you just give them money for just uh, to send them away. So even I used to travel a lot, especially in part of my studies or part of my job. And this is like maybe I'm from South India, so yeah, I used to work in North India only most of my time. So it's very curious to me because you maybe see inside the Kerala, inside Tamil Nadu, inside Karnataka, maybe we can't see many of these students. But if you go to North India like Mumbai, Delhi, or maybe some other cities, now it's a very common scene. So even for me, it's a common scene. It's a curious scene first time, and I was curious about to these children how where they are coming, where they are living, where they are sleeping. They have any friends? They have any family? So I was curious actually in the beginning, but of course I don't want to involve their life in the beginning time because this is a risky, job. Even I am working in a very comfortable job that time, so I don't want to lose that comfortability and go and ask them. But in one day I saw a terrible accident railway station, and it's changed my life. So I thought, okay, somebody need to look after them, somebody need to care of them. So I used to go to these railway stations. I used to speak with children. Actually, I was curious from where they are coming, from there where they are going, because most of the people usually see them in the trains only. So definitely they have space, right? They need to sleep somewhere. So I follow them, I talk to them, and I understood them. So I understood these are children. They are coming from different part of the country, and maybe they are staying in one railway station, and they are spending their time and in this railway station only through begging, through other activities, they are getting some money, and using this money, they are surviving there. So they don't have any family. Maybe they have family there, but the family of it's a different kind of family they are keeping there. So this is the first time experience I have. So I used to start uh, small work with them, like food distribution, cloth distribution. In the beginning is like 2013, and then I slowly I added some many of the program. So this is the beginning of Child in Rail, and currently we are working in Raipur, Chhattisgarh. So that's the main area we are working now, and I'm slowly planning to expand from different cities. So this is the starting actually. Hello.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Thank you for telling us how you started it, Sanoj. You are also pursuing your thesis titled "Plight
Yeah.
of Children on Railway Station at Raipur" at Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development. Can you tell us more about this project and how it is related to these children, and how you're working? You're also working on the policy documentation, right?
Yeah, actually, see, I don't know how many people uh, understood the life of the children because, see, even I observe them from the outside. And actually, I used to observe them from the outside. I think this is a very easy life. Like you can go and simply change them. You can give some food, you can give some care. That things are over. But once I reached into the situation, it was a very difficult one actually because you maybe notice, like, like there are numbers, there are UNICEF estimation, there are like every 5 minutes there is one children is coming to the railway station. So it's like a huge number. For example, in a minute there are 15, like 12 children are coming to the railway station in every an hour. So you can imagine in a day how many children are coming to the railway station. And some are runaway children, some children have home, some children have parents. And of course, in all the railway station, police are there, child rain are now working. So sometime, they got information about the parents, or they send back to these children to their home, and some are actually untraceable. So normally government do send them into some these short-term shelters or something. But some children, they are actually born and brought up in the railway station through some abuse happened to these same kids, or through some other activities. Now they are completely settled in the railway station, like the railway station are their home. So first of all, I thought this is a very small number, so you can go and simply help them. You can send them into these shelter homes, so your work is done. So that's my first plan actually. So I worked almost 1.5 years there. Then only I realized that it's not an easy job. First of all, there's a huge number in this railway station, because UNICEF estimating there are 11 million, 10 million living in this street. In this 10 million, maybe around 4% are railway children. Maybe you can say around 4 lakh, 5 lakh children are only railway, living in railway stations only. They are completely depending railway station for their survival. So even 4 lakh is a big number. So it's not a small number. You can see like lockdown are happening, like how the government system is facing it. So it's a very difficult, taking all these children into a shelter home. And so, and secondly, this is not easy to take them, because, to do any single government help, you need some identity card. You need some document. For example, if I want to take a children to any of the shelter home, you need a card, you need an identity, right? So for these children, there is no identity card, there is no legal document. So I can't simply take them, I cannot simply put them into this shelter home. That's the second issue I face. And third, actually, these are drug addicted. So most of them are violent, most of them are abused, most of them are, addicted to many type of drugs. So even private homes are not ready to take them because of this drug addiction. No? And other thing is there is an organized mafia behind them. Like there are many people, there are many organized team are working behind them. So you cannot go and simply take them, because people used to come and people used to come attack you also. I have a very personal attack in this railway station, because if I try to rescue them, with some volunteers, even the mafia attacked me like 5-6 years before. So this is not an easy job. So you need an organized team. You need a policy to rescue them. So that time I talked with some government official that time. So they suggested me, okay, better you can write some proposal, or better you can write a proposal policy for them, or we can work on together. And you can submit the report to this government or government authority. We can help in that. So that's the first information I got them. Then actually I was tried to work with this research. I did a personal research. Then I later think that, okay, why I can convert this personal research into a professional way. So that's why I joined for a research. And my research is same, like you said, same like my project and my research is same. That's a good thing. So it's an action research basically, and maybe many of the people know about what is action research. What you are studying, what you are learning, you are practically doing in this field. So that's called an action research. So it's an action research, same time it's a research. So that's the thing.
So we know that you spent about 9 months or something staying along with these kids.
Yeah.
So how was that experience? I mean, staying for 9 months with these kids, can you just explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, actually, I was a fellow of a program called Kandari. So after we have this section, I have a 5-month practical program actually. So that's the part of this program. So they asked me, okay, if you are because if you are doing something practically in the field, that's a better job. So I actually plan in a different way. Normally, in these 5 months, people used to start NGOs. People upon, you will get some financial support. So people using that money, you can hire people and you can work with them. But here, I actually did it opposite way. I actually thought that okay, because even I was doubt about myself. Actually, this food and this cloth is the minimum demand of them, or they need some more support. So I don't know actually now, because I observe all time them in the outside only. So I feel that okay, go inside this field and observe them properly. So I decided to go and live with them. So that's happened in 2015.
Okay.
So I spend most of my time in Nagpur, Raipur, and Itarsi. So these are three railway stations in three districts. Nagpur, is Maharashtra, and Itarsi in Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh is Raipur is in Chhattisgarh. So these are these neighboring state at the same time neighboring railway station also. So from each station is around 5 hours from one station to one station. So normally what these railway kids do, they actually start their first trip to like they take a train from Raipur to Nagpur morning, like 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. Then they will reach there at 1 maybe. Then they spend some time, they will come back the same train or other train. So that's the life. So they do a lot of tricks to get money.
Okay.
So they maybe came with some, some pan masala, or they came with some cigarette. They will sell to local people like 1 rupees, 2 rupees, or they will come. They will sing actually songs. They will ask money, or they will simply sleep in the train and they will ask money. So there are a lot of ways to find the money, and many of the people think that we are giving only 1 rupees, we are giving only 2 rupees. But it's accumulated money is huge money, and nobody ever think about that. Sometimes a single child earn like 1,200 rupees, 100, 300 rupees per day. It's not a single money. See, I'm talking about 2015. So you think that a child is earning like 39,000, 40,000 per month. So and they don't have any expenses at all, because see, they get food through begging. They get clothes. Of course, they get some clothes, all clothes from somebody, and the drugs they are using also alternative drugs. They smell some old clothes, or they smell some tires. So this is the way actually. So I was so curious actually where they are spending all this money and how this money lost, and how they are able to get this much money. So I want to know actually. So I first of all I just started to visit them. The first 2-3 weeks they never talked to me. They're never ready to mingle with me. So I was patient. I just follow them. Because they have some specific place to play in some railway station. So I follow them. I just go and watch them, observe them. So later, I understood they are noticing me, because they are noticing me too. So I observe them. I learned that they are also noticing me. Then actually, after a month, they are ready to listen to me. So I understood actually. So that way, actually, I understood how the money is going, how this money they are spending. So railway police sometimes took money from them. These porters took money from them. There is an organized mafia behind them. They took money from them. So it was evident for me in the beginning. But of course, they have very good immunization power, not like me. Like they drink the same water. They can drink water from any tank. They can eat any type of food. So they are used with that. So I'm not used with that. So after 5-6 months, I got some skin issues. I have some stomach issues. So I slowly changed my plan, and I actually, when I got my information, I went from there. So this is the life I happened there. But with them is a very interesting life, because they are very caring people. they know how to treat each other, and even inside this team they are a little bit difficult, but they are actually very caring people. They are share food for everyone. They play, they have a lot of games actually. Maybe like you think, when I'm saying about railway kid, that doesn't mean it's like 15 or 16-year-old kid. Okay, it's like it started with 3, like 3, 4, 5, 6, and all these kids are playing with money actually. Because see, I like, maybe in our childhood now, maybe my father used to give me 1 rupee, 2 rupee in a week to buy some candies, and these people are playing with 300 rupees, 400 rupees each day, like just play that card games, that that I don't know that name in English. Say they use some pictures and is like luck game. So they are playing with 1 rupees coin. So 300 rupees, 400 rupees they spend each day for that. So it's not like, maybe they are 4 or 5 old people, but they actually matured than 50 or 16-year-old boy. That's a difference. And even spending time with them is little bit difficult, because they are mostly sleeping in this platform only. And of course, like the night time is not easy to sleep there, because this cold, that is not easy for us. And for these children, they take some drugs or they take some liquor so they can sleep. So anyway, it was an experience for me. I said frankly, so it was a good experience for me. But at least I learned something from. That's a good point on that.
Okay. Yeah, so that's amazing. I mean, I can't think of going back to railway station, sleeping with the kids, and I think it must be pretty challenging.
That's a 2 days thought only. Once you, maybe the first time you are going there, you maybe face little bit difficulties. Once you sleep with 1 day or 2 days, it is over. When you lose your shyness, then it is completely fine. Even I have the same difficulty in the beginning. I'm not able to, because smell is bad, the food is bad. That's not easy. But after 2 days, you are used to that, and it's fine. And of course, it's a process of learning, so you can manage that. That's my thought actually.
Okay.
I must say, Sanoj, it's a commendable job that you are working on giving an identity to those who don't have an identity through your policy documentation, and living the life they do, like firsthand. It's something exceptional. Like none of us will be ready to do that, but you did, and that's something to be very proud of. We like to applaud you for doing that, because it would definitely not have been easy. But yeah. Okay, so the next thing that I want to ask you is, why are you doing this? Like,
see, the question is very simple, okay? Because first of all, it's a needed one, right? Because now we are getting education, now we are getting a lot of facilities, because somebody did something before of us, right? The same way, even I, if you ask me frankly, said many times, I thought of that, okay, let's leave all this and go for a better job, and and settle somewhere. That's an easy thing. But actually, I told you, first of all, I started this with some personal experiences. But I always like to work with children, and that is actually a very happy thing for me. Even so, in the beginning, it was a little bit difficult. Then I have some personal experience in the railway station. I told you I saw a very horrible accident, and maybe many of them, if you search in the YouTube, even you can see some videos, that accident of this railway station. So it was a huge thought of me, like. And once you face realities, like maybe in a point of time, once you're live, you face something very emotionally, you maybe think that, okay, let's do something for them. So for them is completely personal. I met an accident with a railway in Rajpur railway station. So I have some guilty feeling myself me, because I used to travel 2 years continuously there. Even I'm not able to do any single help of them. So I observe them when this accident happened. I feel that, okay, let's do something for them. So that's the beginning. And of course, when you start to do something, then it's in some ways an interesting, right? See, for basically in my character, I interested to do some type of risky things. Okay, so if is many people interested to do type of thing, so when I joined there, I get lot of negative thing inside this revelation. I told you there is an organized team there behind this begging children. So they are only doing these begging activities and things. So once I joined there, I also faced a lot of personal criticism, personal attack from this team. So I decided later, okay, even whatever happened, let's go with to do something. So that's a personal, interest also. So this is the way I joined, and I hope, like, because of me, at least I can't say any number, but at least few can change from the life. So this is, see, when you saw a inspiration through your work now, like when you see, like, okay, you change somebody's life now, then you will get some type of inspiration. So that's, so I know that because of me, like some of the children already changed. So that gave me some inspiration, and I'm going now little more way. So that's the thing.
Yes, Anuj, that is very true. I think that is the we're also trying to change people's lives through DIY, but yours is on like a higher level, and the crowd is also very different. So it has a larger impact, I would say, because you're completely changing the lives of these children around. So what I would like to know next is, you mentioned the challenges you faced, right? Would you like to tell us more about like the challenges you overcame to be here?
See, actually, I was working in an organization. So when I decided to left my job and to start something, completely, like you are starting something newly, right? You have a lot of commitment. First, financial thing. Okay, you need money to survive yourself. Secondly, family problem, right? You have family commitment. So one day you are leaving things, and so that's the second challenge. So these two are some way I manage, because financially I save some money before I start to do these things. So, and of course my parents, my younger brother got job, so that's a good thing that time. So even I had not that much family trouble in that time. So I decided to give. But actually I was observed from the outside. I thought that this is little bit easy thing. Okay, when I reached in this position only, I understood this is a very risky thing. First of all, you maybe know about some of these people working in street area, maybe Kailash Satyarthi, this CARE, the SCRY. There are many organizations working, right? But have you ever noticed any organization working for, especially for railway children? Very few. Maybe railway children, one organization name, or maybe, because why they are not selecting these railway children? Very simple answer. It's a too risky children, because they are addicted. First of all, they are completely violent, and there is a very strong mafia behind them, because they are earning huge money. So there is an organized team behind them. So, alone to face them is not an easy thing. And, I'll tell you, there's a very good organization working with these children in Itarsi, Jivo. They say sister-based organization.
Hello, Salnoj, are you with us?
Can you hear me now, right?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so there is a sexual abuse and case happened to that organization. They stop the work, because even you see, if I am working with these children, I'm an young person. Most of these people, even children, are like small girls. So even working with them, even they can trap me very easily, right? So working against with this organized team is not an easy job. So once I have this person attack in Raipur railway station, I used to go with team later, because now I can't simply go, seriously. Even part of my research also, because they now recognize me, so I can't go. So I used to go with volunteers now. Like you are losing your freedom of traveling, right? Because of some work. So these are all little bit difficulties. So before I can travel anywhere easily, now I can go some place, without a team. So that means even you are losing your freedom. So there are many challenges. See, I don't know how much you people understand, but these are the travel. Like you are working as an organized team, so little bit difficult. That's the problem. That's the main challenge actually.
Yeah, you yourself said that it is it's not an easy job, and that there are a lot of difficulties you came across. Where did you what gave you the courage to go ahead with it?
First of all, I was not satisfied what I'd done it, because I actually came with a dream to change more things. Actually, I came with an aim, right? So I hope that I need to change little more things, because maybe I did something, but I'm not happy on that. I feel that I need to do more. So that's the courage, helped me to go more.
Okay, thank you, Sanoj. We have a question from one of our dreamers.
Mhm.
Aditya Kumar wants to know: are you trying to connect them to government school for formal education? Can you talk about the? Okay, do you want to answer that first, and then I'll ask the next question.
Okay, yeah, I can read that.
Okay. Uh, uh, okay, wait, then I'll continue it. Can you talk about the country content of the informal education center?
Yeah. See, actually, first of all, these students are not ready to go school. There are two reasons. Okay. First of all, most of the children are earning them. I told you, most of them are earning like 1,000 rupees per day. So they are not ready to left the job and go. Even see, this is an illegal thing they are doing, because they are all under 14. According to our law, it's part of compulsory education. But you can't compel them, because they are doing some, they are earning some money, and if you compel them, they're never ready to listen, then they're never ready to go. So they simply run away. So what we do now, so we actually start an informal education center. It's called mobile schools. Maybe many places you heard about that. What we do, we go like platforms, like the school is actually chasing them. Wherever these children is there now, we also go. Our like resource person follow them, outreach workers. So what we do, we have trainers. We call them outreach workers. We actually find these children, and we engage them somewhere in this railway station. We ask them sit together, and we teach them like basic health. First of all, we talk them about bathing. You talk about hygiene. Then we'll slowly start with letters like A, B, C, D, or we'll small with reading, writing. Uh, of course, and that's the first thing. And secondly, we are trying to uh, incorporate with them with formal schools, because we cannot handle many numbers, right? Because in each railway station there are many children. Maybe every year we need to reach like 40 plus students. So we cannot handle them easily, because we don't have that much facilities. So as of now, even I'm not happy about, after 1 year we are trying to send them into formal schools only, government schools only, uh, because that's the current option we have. Because we cannot handle this much children. So as of now, we are doing that thing only. But the first year we normally do this through this informal training. Informal training means, normally I told you, this hygiene, health, letters, reading, games. That's the method we are doing. So after an year, we normally send them to normal school. This is the way we are doing now. Maybe in long term, like if we have some more facilities, if we have more, options, maybe I hope we can start our own schools, like a mobile school in our own way. So even I discussed with some of the people. So some of the organization help them, ready to help me to start a school. So the discussion is going on. So in Visakhapatnam and Raipur, some people are offered me some land. So I don't know as of now. Maybe in future it can be. So this is the condition. And formal school, we can't send them all. That's the main problem. I told you, many of the children doesn't have this ID card and legal documentation. So to make that not an easy, so last 2 years before we did some work, like we make some marriage certificate for the parent first, because then only you can get some ration card or thing. So now some authority also helping us, so we are slowly making this ID card them now. So maybe for a long run, of course, definitely we start our own school. That's a hope. Now we is running with mobile schools, like each mobile school maybe 40-30 children in different railway station. And after 1 year or 2 year, we are sending them to formal school. So this is the current working condition.
Would you say that the mobile school is the long-term plan for child in Rails, or is there something else you wish to implement?
Mobile school is actually a temporary school. It's not like a permanent school. This mobile is like wherever you can take. So same meaning. So mobile school is a temporary place. It can be a tree. It can be a railway platform, or somewhere a bridge. So our resource person, we call the trainers. So they collect the children there and we are training them. But you can't go long time like this, right? So maybe
Right.
maybe you need some alternative plan. So we are trying for get a permanent school. So that's the next plan actually.
Okay. I would like to know how do you manage this financially? Do you receive funding? How does the organization sustain itself?
Actually, we have some donors in the beginning. I have some some organization help in the beginning. So I got some seed from one organization from Germany. So use that money. I have some personal donors also. So that's the beginning of money. But last 1 year, I'm not collecting any finance support from anybody. Actually, some offers are there, but I need to change my plan little more, because actually this is a brainstorming time for me also, because I did something last 5 years and I need to do some more things. So I'm not that much happy about my past work. So I'm planning to do something. So even some donors are there. So after this, permanent school planning work down, I can collect from that. So actually I have some support still, because some people are still believing in my idea. So I didn't face any actually financial crisis yet for my program, because we have some good chain of donors still. So
hope you reach where you want to be in a few years with a proper plan. We have a question from one of our viewers, Rashmi Swarup. She would like to know: is the railway station only night schools are there, or is it possible for teachers to visit or online displays?
I didn't get the question. What the question?
These night schools can only be held because the children are working during the day, right? So she would like to know if there's any possibility that if teachers can go there, or if learning can be done through online.
Yeah, actually, you understood now. Most of the children even doesn't have a mobile phone or things. Now, these are completely, away from this net and things. So actually, ours is an evening school. We can't say it's a night school, because night it's not preferable, because these children are very tired. We can't teach them in the night. So it's like mostly evening school, maybe 5 p.m. And it's not like a regular school. It's like a 1 hour or 2 hour school only. So it's not like a long school. And I told you, even mobile school is like an entry point for me to get these children. So even I'm not preferring night school for a long time. First of all, I don't want to, send these children. I don't want to keep this again in the railway station. So my plan is to bring, them away from this railway station. So that's why I am planning to, make something good for them. Because see, even we are giving education, we are giving basic awareness to them, but still not easy to handle them, because I told you most of them are addicted. So maybe 80 children are there now. You cannot handle this 80. 50, maybe 30 or 20 are in the first step you are getting, right? Other 50 is still in the railway station. So even they're ready to listen us in this beginning time. So still they are going back to this people now. So again, their attitude can be changed. So that's why I feel is easy. Like if any option to change them from the railway station is more the better way. So that's why we are planning little more beyond. I hope maybe next year. So anyway, it's an evening school. It's a 1 hour program only. It's not like a regular long-term school. I told you we are doing very basic things only. We are talking about hygiene. We are talking about health. We are talking about basic education. That's all. So where for a long term maybe we can think. But night school are there. Not only in my place, Calcutta and Odisha, like Bhubaneswar. There are some organizations are working with the night school. But even they are not able to succeed that, because even that is 3 hours program, 7 to 10. So some Rujiga is an organization, they are running this school, a night school in some railway station. So even I have some way connection with them. So yeah.
Thank you, Sanoj. I hope that answered your question, Rashmi. We have another question by Rahul Pahuja. He would like to know if you are planning to do a foundation kind of thing.
Actually, see, is nothing a foundation, first of all, because of course once you you know, if you are need to working with railway station, you need some registration, right? So you need a backup, you need a support. So I registered my organization as an NGO, but I don't actually, you know, plan to be like a foundation or it's like a. So I just registered an NGO mostly because for some legal purposes, and so it's an NGO now basically. But maybe in more future, maybe we'll add some more work. Then maybe it's more visible, I hope. And yeah, it's an NGO now. It's not a foundation yet, because we are collecting some money normally. So you need some auditing and that type of things. So we raised it as an NGO. Yeah, that's a legal status now.
Yeah, okay. We have a lot of questions from our viewers actually. We have two questions from Geeta. Geeta say, you have said that these children earn huge amounts. So can you share with your experience that what is the expenditure used, like what is it used for on a regular day?
Actually, you know, most of the money actually, see, if they use some money for some their purpose, is fine. But see, I told you the food they are getting from this railway station only. They mostly eat food from leftover. Like somebody throw their leftover food. Somebody, you know, like they'll get some samosa. They will beg these vendors also. No, the most of the food they are getting free. And clothes, you may be so many of the children, they never wore any new clothes. So even the clothes they are getting somewhere. The main their money basically their little bit of money they are spending for drugs, mostly some alternative drugs. They are not drinking like liquor. They mostly drink cup syrup. Maybe I hope some of the people know about these type of things. Like they take like 1 or 2 you know, bottle of cup syrup in a day. So if you're taking 1 or 2 bottle of cup syrup, I don't know what type of feeling they are getting, but they are getting drunk in that. And getting some tablets, like some you know, some type of tablets they are getting. And the other money mostly these people will collect. Of course, once you are begging in the railway station, you need to give to quota to many people, right? You need to give to quota to police, you need to quota to authority, and of course organized people behind them. And the leftover money maybe is like 50 rupees 100 rupees they maybe keep in their hand. That's all the spend. Actually they are earning money for others. That's a fact.
You also had an initiation to make a child bank in your earlier plans, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Uh, so, what were the legal difficulties you faced with regard to that?
Yeah, actually, you know, in the very beginning, I knew that these people are earning money, and then I thought that okay, if I collect the money and if they save the money in some you know, bank or somewhere, is easy. so they can collect it back later, right? So that's my thought. So later I understood that many of the children doesn't have these legal documents. I cannot open a bank directly for them. That's the first issue. And secondly, these are all under 14 children. So if I am collecting money directly from them, now I am asking to do them labor. So it's a child labor, right? So I can't do that in the beginning. So I'm trying to get some possible option for that. Some organizations are doing in a different way, but so they have some legal entity on that. For me, I don't have. So I talked with people. That's why I told you I am making some policy thing. So maybe for long time I can do. Actually, maybe I can collect. So as of now, I can't. That's the problem.
Not Geeta also had another question. She asked, you said the children took liquor or drugs. So, at what age do the children get engaged in it, and how do they procure it?
They start like 3, 4. Like small kids, na. First of all, understand when you are talking about parents, these parents doesn't means like they are like old parents. Like maybe 14. I saw like 14-year-old girl have a kid. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe you maybe notice many of these children getting liquor like when they are 6 or 7 months old. Like once they cried, na this child cried, na these parents give them this pan or liquor to their mouth actually. So like they are when they are born only they are getting these type of things. Okay, so maybe they are 3, 4. They already started. They are already addicted. So even small kids getting drugs in the very beginning time. So that's a difficult thing. So that's why even not easy to change them from that, because even you need somebody's support, right, to change them. Na? Even I saw small babies, small babies like 6 month, 9 month old babies getting this. They're giving this, pan barag and that type of things into the mouth. Because I don't know, when they're crying now, they do these type of things. So very small children started to use drug very early. That's a problem.
That's very crazy. Like, how do you
That's very
get?
crazy. It's very
Yeah,
easy actually, but
I mean, yeah, they're brought up in a very toxic
yeah,
environment.
very tough. That's a problem.
We have another question by by Riddhi. She would like to know, as young as the young kids travel in trains, what do the older kids do? What is the age group of kids in a railway station?
See, the age is actually 0 to 17 to 18. I can say, because even they are traveling with small babies. Okay, so some babies is like 6 months, 1 year, and the small kids like four, like 5. Up to that time, they normally simply go and beg. After 7 or 8, they started to seep in the train. They used to sing in the train. That type of thing they do. And once you are little bit old, like 12, 13, then they started to sell something like cigarette, this pan barag, this burqa, that everything they used to sell. So this is the age group. And after 17, 18, I observe many of the children, leave away, or maybe they are becoming a gang and things. But if I say a true thing, many of the children died, or many of the children lost something in that time, because through accident, through a lot of things. Na? Their age may be comparatively less, I think, because I can't see many older children there. This is a fact actually.
Yeah, that is a devastating truth, Sanoj. But we have a appreciation for you from Hemant Kumar. He says that I appreciate the work and salute your courage and empathy to work with these children. He's interested to know up to what age of these children you have planned to work, and what is your plan to tackle them.
Actually, I have two plan. I told you. First plan I said to you is an education program. In that program, I expecting 5 to 12 age group of 5 to 12, because that's the better thing. Maybe 13, 14 also, because that's the compulsory education age actually. And the children after that age, actually, as of now, I'm planning to engage them with some vocational training program, because there are many vacancies inside this railway station they can find, like many vendors need staff to, like, you maybe see that now even the cleaning job and this selling food, lot of things actually, the vendors are ready to take some of the children. So 5 to 12 age group, I completely plan them for education only. And after that, I am planning to tie up with them some vocational training program. So after 16 age group, I can tie them with some vocational government program called DDUGKY, PMKY. So I talk with some of the people; they are ready to take them. Under 16, the law is not allowed to do the work. So that's why I told you I need some policy change on that. So that's why I'm doing some talk to with this authority and people. Maybe in future, okay, I think I can do that.
Thank you for answering that, Sanoj. Aditya Kumar has a question. He wants to know: do you help them connect? Do you help them connect to banks or some sort of saving habits?
Yeah, actually, I tried that. I told you, na. But most of the bank are not ready to take them because they don't have any identity card and things, na, legal things and things. So that's the problem. So as of now, I can connect with them because very few only people have this identity card and thing. So that's why in the beginning stage, I planned for this child bank actually to help them. But so even my friends want them because that's not the good way, because the people are doing some labor that comes under child labor only. So if you are collecting money from them, even you are a victim. You are actually so that's why I didn't collect from them. Of course, for a long time plan I have. One interesting thing is like that. See, after this lockdown, I don't know how these things can be changing, because see, this is a 2 month of time and no train, no activity in the railway station. They don't have any option to survey themselves. So these are the plan before lockdown. Okay, so after that lockdown, I go there, I reach there, and I don't know how it will. What will the situation there? Even I have very few connection with very few children now, and they are okay now. But so I don't have any personal contact with many children, right? So, and it's a very huge number. So after May 31st only, even I can understand how they survive all this well. And maybe they will do the same thing after this also, because lockdown maybe change their habit also. That's another doubt now.
Yeah, very thinking about it because their entire livelihood is lost, like because of no activity there.
Yeah.
Uh, Hemant Kumar would like to know how he could become a part of your work, and you have also helped him, given him a new perspective, and helped him understand. So he would like to be a part of your work. How do you
Okay,
think that?
I can share my phone number and email ID after this conversation, so we can talk to them.
Okay, thank you, Sanoj. I would like to know, was doing something like this your dream, or is it something that happened to you and then influenced your life?
I didn't get your question. What's that?
I said, was doing something like this your dream, or was it because of the incident that happened that influenced your whole life?
Actually, it was it was my never dream. I was a very lazy person. I actually, always wanted to settle somewhere in a very comfortable way. Okay, so I never think about I will become working with something, or I never interested some type of professional social work. I never think that way. But I told you, is once you reach in one, something happened to your life, once incident happened to you. So I have a thought, okay, to work like this. So it was not my dream before. Now it's my dream. So that's the difference.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Sanoj. Aditya Kumar would like to know what are the major policy changes that you are hoping or working for?
See, actually, if you see any of the law, any of the policy inside in India, you can see under 14, is compulsory education, right? And every children under 14 age of need to be educated. But you think is practically possible somewhere? Because I know, because law and practice are different, and actually I need to working with that. Actually, the government have ensured to accommodate all these children somewhere, because there are many facts, many evidence are there. There are number of children, they are living away from this home, and they are completely surviving the railway station without any legal proof. So I need some policy support to make them, first of all, to make them as an Indian citizen, and secondly, to accommodate them, somewhere in this country. So that's the two things. And of course, thirdly, okay, like thirdly, actually, I need to do some changes in these labor laws, because anyway, these overall children are working, and according to our law, it's not legally to work in this age. But of course, they cannot left the job, because they can leave the job because they are completely depend on them. So government need to make something like to allow them at least in some way, like a part-time job or something, and to study together. So that type of some policy document. I'm much clear about my wordings, but I can share him with my policies and things.
Thank you. You mentioned the government. Balaji has a question for you. Has the railway officials helped you in any way in your endeavors?
Not actually, if I say very fact. Not only in the railway station in Raipur. In some help I got from ITRC, because they have some connections there, because some sisters already working there. So there I got some help. But other than any revelation there, because see, even I am not doubting about these higher officials, but I am very sure all these lower level officials, they are getting, some way financial support from this organized team. So if you go with anybody, they are never ready to support. Even the policeman. See, I told you, in 2015, I talked to these railway children. There are 3-4 people came and beat me with their stick. Okay. Like I was just talking to them, 3-4 people just came and beat me, and I just run, because you can't do anything, okay? Because 3-4 people coming, and so and I complained them, and even everybody is making fun on me. Array is not our issue. Why you go and talk to them? They are criminals. You need to take care of yourself. So these their attitude actually. So even I don't have any hope. They will help me in future. So, but of course, once they have some higher level pressure, so maybe they will do. So I hope, because that time I was just a beginner. I don't have any connection. But of course, even now, even I am also working I am also making team. I am also not an individual person now. I also make the team. We are also organized now. So it's not an easy now. Yeah.
Sanoj, you clearly set out to change the lives of these children. What I would like to know is, can you tell us about a few changes that took place in your own life because you started doing this?
The changes I got?
Yes.
See, you talk about my personal changes, or because of me the changes I implemented there?
No. The changes you experienced at a personal level because you started doing this.
See, I told you, I like 5 or 6 years before, I was spend money for anything. Okay, see, like I don't mind. Okay, if I get salary, I just spend that away. So because now I feel that that's not a good way. So I have a purpose now. So I reduce the spending habit. Then maybe I add some more my friends, many friends, add volunteers. So I got some good friends in different part of the country. So as a personal level, And I think I can understand people easily, because somebody, for example, if you come and tell me if I have dream, now I can understand that. Like 5 years before, you come and you said me, sir, I have a dream, I want to quit my job, I want to do this. Of course I will advise you, don't do that, go your your comfort life, don't do that, it's a risky thing. But if now you said to me this way, now I have a dream, I can do something, so I'm going to quit my job, I will support you, because I understood that what is the happiness behind that, and how much of happiness you will get after this. Basically what we are working, right, because of your happiness, right? So if you are happy in something, now do that. Now why you are so so that's my personal thing. So I'm happy on that, at least, and I'm at least uh, okay to understand why people are ready to leave their job, why ready people are quit their job and go for dream. So at least that level. So yeah, that way I learn something.
You clearly put happiness. I mean, you learned that happiness is better than the regular comfortable life everybody leads. So, what you're doing is extremely extraordinary. And you told us about the happiness thing. What else would you like to tell our dreamers?
See, this is only one thing, okay? To earn a dream, now there is no time limit. Maybe you are like 60-year-old, maybe you are 5-year-old, maybe you are 14-year-old. Once you are thinking to do something, now do it, okay? Maybe you lose something or you lose something, later, but it's a try, okay? Try it, and maybe for a long run, you will get it there. Because see, I saw many people after start my program. I used to talk now. Even I feel wondered to see some of the life, like they left their dream job and working with kids, working with schools. Maybe many of the dreamers already came here. Like I have a friend, he left his uh, he is a rank holder in IIT. He left his job and he's working as a toy maker. So if you have dream now, work for it, at least try for it. Then maybe you lose 10%, but once you succeeded now, that will be a very good thing. So that's it.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and taking time out of your day and spending time with us. I would
Mhm,
like to thank you on behalf of all of our dreamers.
mhm.
Over to you, Manish.
Okay. I don't know how much you people understand that, because first of all, I'm not a good communicator. But I hope some way you will understand the life of the children. So even I feel happy on that.
So, Sanuj, you don't need to be a good communicator when you are speaking from your heart. And that is what we saw for the last
Yeah,
1 hour. You were speaking from your heart, you were speaking your dream, and you were speaking how you realized your dream. And I don't think that communication is never a barrier for that. So here are some interesting notes that I picked up when you spoke, just for all our dreamers to uh, visualize what they would have heard. So the first point that I heard and I captured, which I felt very inspiring, was you are an action researcher and you
yes,
you really stayed with those people to really understand what their life is,
yeah,
and and that's something very very interesting, and I mean that is something out of the world that not many people would dare to do, just because they got passionate about understanding the railway children. So that is something that I captured. You told that personal incident made you go behind this dream,
that's
and
true.
I
Yeah,
think this is something that many of us can relate. I mean, we have been speaking lots of dreamers, and I think most of them actually told us there was some small incident that actually made them do something that they would have never done. And I think this is something, the same story that you are also telling. And this is one of the reasons why we started DYD Cafe. We know that there are lots of people who wants to do lots of things, but then they for somewhere they have lost that energy or courage, whatever it is. But then I think stories like yours, I'm pretty much sure that it's going to inspire people, and somewhere you have put some seed in them, and they will pursue their dream at some point of time. And rightly, as you said, dream has no age; you can pursue at any time. The other point that I captured was these kids earn lots of money, but then they spend it in drug, liquor, and maybe some money that they have to give it to the mafia and other people for their personal use. They don't have anything, so they are actually begging in the railway station or in the railway coaches to earn for somebody else, and that is so very pathetic, and I feel very sorry for them. And the work that you do is going to change for at least a few people. And the other thing I noticed was your vision, where you wanted to ensure that there is education for kids between 5 to 12 years, and after 16 years, you wanted to make vocational training program for these kids. And lastly, what inspired me the most was when you told that you have a purpose. I mean, that was something that it touched me. You told us it was not my dream then, but now it is my dream. I mean, that is a very powerful statement, because when you have a purpose in life, then you pursue it, the happiness, the contentment that you get will give you the courage for anything that you want to do to follow your passion or your purpose. So I think these are some of the interesting learnings that I captured, and I thought I will share it with our dreamers. So once again, like Neha mentioned, thank you for spending time with us today. I'm pretty much sure that your story, the work that you do, has touched all the dreamers that has joined us today. And the commendable that work that you do, I'm pretty much sure it is going to impact a large number of people. And there will be a day where people will tell that it was because of Sanoj today I am what I am. And when I think about those things, I can feel goosebumps. uh, so thank you for your time, and to my dreamers, thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you all with us every Tuesday 4 o'clock. Next week as well, we are going to bring another interesting person, so please wait for us. Thank you for your time, and thank you, Sanuj, once again.
Okay, and I hope you also. We'll see you everyone one day with a good one.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
all.
Bye bye.